Kon Stathopoulos, good morning.
Morning, mate. How are you?
Fantastic. You're in?
Adelaide at the moment.
You're always cruising around, mate. Is it promoting the business or is it what is it?
I know this one's a learning tour. So there's a book that many successful people in business have told me to read called Scaling Up
Yeah.
by Vern Harnish. And Vern's in town. And we've been luckily enough invited to one of the YPO Scaling Up summits in the Barossa for the next 4 days. So excited to kick that off today.
Sounds amazing, mate. Don't drink too much wine there, Con.
No, definitely won't, mate.
You're not a drinker. It's good to see you, mate. Last time I saw you was in Austin, mate. So it's always good to
Yes.
catch up. Um, we've got a short period. I really want. I've been wanting to speak to you for a while because, mate, you're crushing it. For those who don't know, Con's probably one of the best real estate executives, I think, in Australia, in terms of real estate ownership. What makes you so good, do you think?
Ah, mate, well,
Start straight there. Start straight
pro-
there.
probably the first thing is, mate, I don't think I'm that good, to be honest.
Yeah.
We've always had a philosophy in our business and in my life that we've got a learn it all culture, not a know it all culture. So I think the first thing is that we think we're a good business, but we don't think we're a great business. And I think we're always constantly trying to be better. It's actually our theme. We pick a theme each year, Ivan, in the business, and this year's theme is better is better. So thank you. But mate, we're embryonic in our journey and we're just getting started. So I think for us, it's all about getting the right people, getting the right strategy, and then just executing it and having it as simple as possible. And that's kind of worked for us over the last couple of years.
Yeah. Your business now has four or five offices.
Five, yes. Yep.
Last year, the network did about your network did about 1,600 sales. Is that right?
Yeah, just over 1,600 sales. So 1,700 sales, 2,000 listings,
Yeah.
about 34 million in fees, total GCI, two and a quarter billion dollars in volume, and we've got about 2,100 properties under management.
So it's four McGrath offices, and
Five.
you're five, sorry, and you're the CEO of the group.
Yep.
Yeah, good on you. For those who don't know you, you're from Melbourne. You had a brief. You used to sell. What did you sell before you got into real
And I
estate?
sold office equipment for a French mail and logistics company
That's right.
for 15 years. I started off as a telemarketer and then ended up being the group general manager for Asia Pacific. And then my team in Sydney were losing business to a competitor, and they asked me to fly up and meet this guy called John McGrath in 2011, which I did. And 2014, I moved to Sydney with my family and took up the role as sales manager at Edgecliff, um, not
Mm.
knowing that that was probably one of the largest residential real estate offices in the country at that time. And then grew from there and ended up becoming the director of sales and then decided that I wanted to have a go for myself a couple of years ago. Right, just as the pandemic was starting, I could see the Ruby Princess from my apartment. I thought, wouldn't that be a great idea to go to an area where I've got no relationships and there's a business that's not performing and start during COVID. And it's been the best decision I ever made.
It really was. I was thinking about today because McGrath's a great. We love John. I obviously started my career there. He's a great, he's the most influential real estate person in the country. Um, and it was the brand has gone through various seasons, I would say.
Great. Yeah, great way to say it. Yep.
Yeah, but I think you've done a really good. How have you found the brand where there's certain areas where McGrath are pretty strong? This mate, when I was younger, it was McGrath and Daylight.
Yeah.
Um, how have you found pushing the brand in the west of Sydney the way you have? How have you found it? Has it been advantageous, beneficial?
Good question.
Has it had challenges because some of the other areas haven't been as strong as what they once were?
Um, Mate, you know what? The brand, it's a phenomenal brand, but the brand means nothing without the people inside it.
Yeah.
So you could have the sexiest, shiniest logo and it looks fantastic, great colors, but the reality is what makes McGrath McGrath, because I haven't experienced anything else. I
Yeah.
mean, I've got a lot of friends in, other groups, boutiques, Ray Whites, all that type of stuff, but it's all about the people. So when Parramatta's a really good example. When we bought that office, it was losing money for McGrath and it was 11th in terms of market share. now that office is the number one office in McGrath out of 148 offices across the country. It's the number one residential large office in New South Wales and number 5 in the country. So the brand didn't do anything when it was 11th, but the brand has done everything when it's first. And what I mean by that is it's been able to attract the right people, the tribe, to be able to elevate and really utilize the strength of the brand and the relationships and the great agents in the network that are in the network and have, come through, like you and others, throughout that network. So I think it's, because a lot of people ask that question, you can't explain brand, it's a feeling, right? It's like when you go into a great restaurant. We went to that great restaurant in Austin. You took me, remember, with Emily.
Jeffrey's.
Yeah, Jeffrey's, that's a great brand, but when you go in there and you experience the service and the ambience and the lighting and the art and then the food, that's what puts it all together and makes it a phenomenal place to be.
Mate, I love when you talk like that. Were you this passionate about stuff before you got into real estate, or have you found that real estate was just your niche?
Whatever I've done, I've tried to. I don't want to use the word obsessed, but I'm obsessed about what we do.
Yeah.
There's a reason why I'm obsessed with that. It's not about money. It's not about recognition. They're all nice things to have and important things to have. I'm obsessed about potential. So I get excited. My brain goes into overdrive when I start thinking about opportunity and I start thinking about how do we actually play in this industry, mate. We're the second least trusted people in terms of professions in Australia, probably the world. I look at that and I go, that's really disappointing, because I know the work that we do matters. We ain't curing cancer. We're not changing lives, but it matters, mate. It matters to, the lady that's been suffering from domestic violence, or someone that's passed away, or mum's got to go into a retirement home, right? Yeah. That stuff matters. So for me, I kind of look at it and I go, well, there's a system and a process to what we do. But when we start overlaying the love and the care, and then the thought about, hey, this can change lives. It's changed my life. It changed your life. Yeah, mate, the reason why we're mates is because of real estate.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, yeah, that's what it is. So I love it. Like, I love it. It's what I do. Yeah, it's who I am.
And I really enjoyed having you over because I love it too. And so you and I, we connect on all that. Tell me the magic of this recruitment. Okay, so I think I emailed you the other day and I said, I think you're the best recruiter in Australia.
Yeah.
People want to know this. How have you've never listed a property yourself, okay?
No.
So you haven't done what me and everyone listening's done, but you've been able to get out into the West, which you had no real affiliation with before, meet with some amazing agents or agents that were going to become amazing, who were probably perfectly comfortable where they are and making decent coin. How have you brought them across? What's the magic there? I want to know. And so does everyone else.
Mate, first of all, it's not a deal. I can tell you that. There's no deal where, sign-on bonuses and, complicated commission structures or, paying overs or anything like that. We actually don't do deals. That's one thing that we don't do. And the reason why we don't do deals is if people will join you for a deal, they leave you for a deal.
Yes.
So our deal is an absolute commitment to great culture, tools, resources, opportunity, enough space to grow, wealth creation strategies, and more important, unlocking the potential that person has. I think my philosophy, because
how do you do that? So sorry to cut you off. How do you do that?
Mate, anyone worth having wants to know the plan of what it means to them, their family, their business, and what part of the journey that they're going to be able to contribute to. So it starts with vision. And most people don't have, I know this is going to sound really basic, but a lot of people don't have vision over themselves, let alone their careers. So I start, when I'm recruiting someone, I'm talking to them about their 1, 3, and 5 year life plan and business plan. I'm trying to work out the psychology of what's been the inhibitor of performance. So I'm trying to work out why. I'm looking at you and I'm going, why aren't you performing in my brain at a much more elite level? There is a reason why. So my first philosophy is that good people make great real estate agents or professionals, whether they're in property management or sales. So I don't hire for skill, I hire for will. and I'm looking for will. I'm looking for someone that's giving me indicators that they want to be better, that they just don't know how. And I'm trying to kind of unlock the code, the combination lock in front of them. I can see the first two, numbers. I've got two more. And if we unlock that, that's where the magic really happens. So first one is good people make great real estate professionals. Second one is anyone worth having wants to know what the journey looks like. So it's the vision. I then talk probably more about the network. I'm not talking about McGrath. I'm not talking about the platform of technology. I'm talking about, John's always had this philosophy, 1 + 1 = 11. It's kind of the same mentality, Ivan. For those who don't know what that means, it's kind of thinking outside of the box and having an abundance type mentality. We give more than we take. And our leadership model is based on the servant model. So we sit at the bottom of our org chart and we lead up. So it's not one thing,
Yes.
it's everything.
Yes.
And then probably the biggest lever for our growth has been three things that we do a little bit differently. The first one is we've got at least, we've got 19 agents that write over $1 million in fees in the West. Average sale price, max would be, 1.6, 1.7, but for some of these guys, it's, $1 million.
Yes.
So we've been able to use case studies of how we've been able to rapidly grow people. I mean, we've got a great case study, a young team member in our business, Monique Leyoun. She's 23 years old. 3 years ago, she was our front office manager answering the phones. She then did a stint with one of our partners, Joel Hollings, for 3 years. In her first year, she's going to write $1 million at 23.
Yeah.
So we use the case studies of people. Amit Nayak, came from another office writing $1 million. He's now a partner in the business and he writes $3.5 million in fees, 225 transactions. So we use case studies. The second one we do is we have a pathway to partnership plan.
Yes.
So if you're joining our business and you are I want to call it a lead generator, right, or an associate.
Yes.
At every level, we have a career development plan for those people, for everyone. And it's all about competencies and It's all about growth. So, a lot of businesses will go, yeah, we've got associates, we've got an associate program. Well, talk to me about what that associate program looks like. When was the last time we role played a buyer callback? Because you're putting them live in field. It's like training, I don't want to use war as an analogy, but training a soldier and saying, there's the gun, but you don't know how to fire it, right?
Yeah.
So that pathway to partnership plan's been awesome. And we've got 9 partners in the business with a group, a cohort that I'm personally coaching right now of potentially another 10. And then the third one is we have a wealth plan. Every time someone refers in a property management, they own a part of the asset and they can cash that out, every couple of years. So we've looked at elements of how do we create and help people short, medium, long-term, career development, training, wealth, etc.
Yeah, it's all that. I mean, I'll take a couple of things away. Good people make great agents. You hire for will, not skill.
Yep.
The 1, 3, and 5 year plan. I think there's probably 2 that you haven't mentioned, which I'm assuming. One is your passion would come across.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So your energy, like you're sitting in front of someone and you're a great salesperson or a great leader. And the second thing is, I think you've got the generous gene in you. Yep. And so then that filters, because if people are selfish or they don't pay it forward, that they'll never get ahead. But I think people can feel that you're generous, and you are, and therefore they get all this stuff that you've mentioned. Plus, I like him. He's talking my language. He cares about me. Plus, he's giving, and he's got a successful culture. So, mate, well done.
Yeah, thank you.
That's different. So you would run that very different to how a lot of other McGrath owners would, I would think.
Yeah, I think, John, I've been very lucky to be personally coached and mentored by people like John McGrath and Shane Smolin and you and others. I think recruitment.
Not me.
No. I've learned more from you, mate. Come on, mate.
Mate, I'll learn more from you, mate, every time.
Yeah, well, then it's a great relationship.
Okay, it is fair.
That's the best thing about it. But what I'm getting to, recruitment, you got to look at recruitment like prospecting, but it's not. And it's a hard thing to try and explain, right? So let me try and explain it. You got to have a strategy. If you're a leader in business, in real estate, sales leader, principal, partner, director, whatever it is, Gary Keller, who wrote The One Thing, Keller Williams. The first time I came to Austin, I was invited to the Keller Williams Family Day in 2017 or 18. And I got to meet Gary Keller for literally a minute. I was a guest of Chris Heller, the CEO at the time. And I said, just tell me the biggest thing that I need to understand about scaling a business of this size. And he said, we're a recruitment and training business that happens to be in real estate. So we must put time aside to recruit. And it's not a spray and pray. It has to be a systematic approach to where do you have deficient, diminishing, no market share. And then you've got to have layers of recruitment. The obvious one is go and take another agent from another office. But then you've got to have a second and a third and a fourth and a fifth layer of strategy. Then where's your incubator for talent? So the recruitment engine, it's always on.
Yeah.
It's not ever off.
Yeah.
And then you've got to be able to work out, why do people want to come and join and why do people leave? We've been really fortunate in 4 years. We have not lost an agent we didn't want to lose.
Yes.
At all.
Yeah.
Right? So we must be doing something right. But the problem with that attitude is that once you start resting on your laurels, you start thinking that you're probably, no, we don't really need to spend that money, and we don't really need to have that trainer come in, and we don't really need to do this, and maybe we pull back. That's when you actually put the foot down and you over accelerate. So it's a part of what I do. It's like prospecting for owners, right?
Yeah.
So I've got to have that discipline, but then I've got to have the care, love, and attention that I don't make it transactional.
Yeah. And I mean, you're in an enviable position where you are really just focused on leadership, your people, recruitment. You don't have to skip boundaries.
3 jobs.
It was hard for Shannon and I because the challenge was we had to list, sell, manage, deal with the current staff for many years and try to recruit. It was really hard.
Yes.
We're 2 months into the year now. What's your understanding of what's happening in the market? Just the first 2 months of the year, you're out there every weekend and you're seeing the sales. What's just a quick take on that?
Mate, for us, we're probably a little bit different because we have our Super Saturday auction event, which gives us maybe a little bit of an unfair advantage in some of our markets. But we listed 149 auctions. We launched 137. We ended up having 66% clearance on the day. Today, we're at 82%. Yes. We had 38 properties pass in, and I think we've sold 26 in 3 weeks. So I saw straight out of the gates, lots of buyer energy, lots of buyer inquiry, but a lot of people kind of browsing, not a lot of people shopping. So similar conditions to the end of last year. And now, funnily enough, Ivan, we have a quarter of a basis point cut. And this weekend we had 88% or 82% clearance rate. Investors are back, more regos, more energy, more life.
Yes.
So I'm finding it a little bit of not turbulent, but it's a little bit, up and down.
Yes.
And I think that's going to kind of continue until we have this election and Anzac Day, Easter school holiday, that jam. And then I think, we're probably off for a very good year. But realistically, I try to coach our team that the market's in between their ears. It's not really there. There's still deals being done, right? So the reality is, if we've only got 10 or 15% market share, that means 85 out of 100 people didn't pick us and they're still selling. So it's all about what are we doing, the mindset, the energy that we're bringing to making sure we get that deal over the line. Yeah,
good one. Can we just now that we've had a bit of an overview of the business and your history and the market, can we move now to probably more agent speak?
Yeah.
Which I know you're very familiar with. I see there's like 3 or 4 different types of agents out there. Like there's associates and like entry level. There's you've got the second tier, which is like 2 to 500K riders. They probably don't have an associate, so standalone agents basically. Then you've got a small, like 1 or 2 person. Then you've got these mega teams like an Armour, for example.
Yeah.
What's your focus for the people that are coming in, your associates? What as the leader of this group, you've got 20, 30 of them, young, associates. What's the most important things for them to further their career as quick as they can?
Great question. We've got 27 associates. And the thing that we're focusing on right now is skills. So we call them, we've got 3 or 4 different levels of associates. So the first one might be just really a jack of all trades, pointer boards, building and pest, doing pre-settlement inspections. The second one is pretty much that, but then they're also doing some cold prospecting or leveraging across, a listing or a sale. The third one is that, plus they actually do really good buyer work, can negotiate, get it on a contract. And then the fourth level is someone that can actually prospect, list, and sell at a basic or an intermediate level before they're ready to go out and become a lead agent.
Have you got a name for those levels, or like is it a level 1, 2, 3, 4?
Level 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's all core competency based.
Yeah.
So a lot of people want to go straight to the listing. Man, the listing really, it's not that hard. Okay, the listing's a skill, it's an art, but it's not that hard. Yes. What's really hard is the discipline of being able to use the phone and prospect or door knock and get a piece of data, start a conversation, get permission to build a relationship, follow that person and nurture them through, and then ultimately get a buyer appointment, a market appraisal, or a listing appointment. So we do a heavy focus on that stuff.
Yeah, which they need the skills at that stage for sure.
Absolutely.
Let's go to the next group, which is the standalone agents. Now, I work with a number of them. We had them at Bresic Whitney. I think this group is probably the most challenged group. But I find nothing positive or negative about it. It is what it is.
I agree.
You would agree, yes. And there's lots of, in fact, I would say that's the majority of the industry, Con. Okay?
Yes.
So standalone agencies, I would say, is the majority of the Australian real estate industry. So they don't have an associate, they don't have a PA because of affordability, and there's no they probably don't need it at that point. And they could do anywhere between 100 grand and 400 or 500 grand on their own. But they're doing everything themselves, and they could sell anywhere between 10 and 30 properties a year. What's how do you work with them, and what should they be focused on?
Yeah. So this is how Parramatta started, mate. We had 4 agents doing $1 million in fees, and one of our agents was doing 40% of that. And then the balance were doing, 600K between 3. Yeah. The biggest opportunity in this cohort, but also some of the hardest people that I find to coach, not just in my business, just generally. And the reason being is that they have very much fixed mindsets, mooring lines that are holding them back around their growth. I can't afford an associate. My market doesn't allow me. There's a dominant agent there and we don't have market share. I find that in this cohort, the ones that you can really unlock by giving them a plan of how they get through, because the hardest business, it's easier to write 2 million than what it is $1 million. And then it's easier to write $1 million over, 300. Absolutely. That's the heavy slog stuff, right? So Kim McCleary, really good example. So Kim was the agent writing the 40% of Parramatta at the time, 400 grand, and she was a jack of all trades, a master of none, and she was getting pulled from pillar to post. She'd go from Ryde to Marylands to Borkham Hills to Castle Hill to wherever she could get a listing. Yeah. So all we did with her is narrowed her focus, gave her the belief that she was better and had the opportunity to grow, and then we put on an associate for her. So we bankrolled the associate. Because she didn't have the free cash flow and she wasn't a contractor at the time. Yeah. And then we just took that back off the comms. Mate, that one move accelerated her to go from 400 to 897. Then we put another person on, 1351, 17. She'll write 2 million this year. She's got 45% market share in Kings Langley, and she's a partner in the business in 3 years.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's a great story from Kim. Do you think that's possible? Do you think anyone can do that?
Yes, I do, if they want to, mate. If you want it, you'll do it. It's pretty simple. If you don't want it, you won't do it. It's like quitting, cigarettes if you're a smoker. If you want to quit, you quit. Yeah. But people need to make a decision to decide whether or not they're good enough to be better.
And I love that. If they want to, they'll do it. We had some banter about something that John McGrath said. Do you remember what it was?
Mate, was it in the sauna?
It probably was. And the question,
there you go.
Who do you need to become?
I knew you were going to say this. Ivan, who do you need to be?
Who do you need to become? I love it. Explain.
It's a true story.
Okay, great. And I've marinated on it for the last 4 months. Explain to me and others the idea of
So, have you ever had a moment, mate, when someone says something and it's like a lightning bolt to the brain that just instantly changes a thought, a process, a belief? It motivates you to action. Well, we bought the business May the 26th, 2020s when I started at Parramatta. It was a Monday. And then on Wednesday, the 28th, John goes, come and have brekkie with me. And we sat down and he goes, mate, you've been here now for 2 days. So tell me, what's the plan? And I said, John, I think we can go from $1 million in revenue if we're looking at metrics in terms of emission. I think we can get to 5 million in the next 3 to 5 years. And then I think we could get maybe to 7 to 10 million in the next decade. And I remember him taking his glasses off and then just wiping him on his t-shirt. And he looked at me and he goes, yeah, I reckon you could do that. He said, but mate, what would you need to do your 5-year plan in 6 months? I went, what? Sorry, say that again? Because it just went. I said, he goes, what would you need to do your 5-year plan in 6 months? And that's when that lightning bolt came through. And I was like, I've never heard of this. This is the biggest most foreign concept. And I said, now? He goes, sure. And he started writing down. I said, well, mate, I'd have to be the president of the fan club and the cheerleader of all my agents. I'd have to have one-on-ones with them and do business plans and go to opens and auctions and market appraisals and vendor meetings and listing appointments and price reductions. And I'd have to give them training and coaching and environment and culture and resources. And I'd have to become obsessed. And he's writing all this down. He goes, all right. And then what else would you need to do? Well, I'd have to attract the best people. He goes, okay, well, who are they? First cab off the rank was Amit Nayak. And he goes, why would Amit want to come and join? And we went through it, like basically, mate, just layer by layer, breaking it down in its most simplistic form.
Yeah.
And then John basically writes some notes. He goes, if you did that, you'd have a $10 million business in 12 months. And I said to him at the time, I said, mate, is it that easy? And he said, we can make it more complicated if you want to, Con. It's up to you.
Yeah.
But yeah, it really is that easy. He goes, but mate, before we do that, who do you need to become? And that was probably the most confronting question, because you have to look inwards to that. And so for me, I had to become a better version of myself. I had to upgrade everything, mate. Like your phone goes through an upgrade every couple of weeks. I had to literally give myself, and I still do, right? And so the funny thing is, we did our 5-year plan in 6 months, genuinely, legitimately. And we did our 10-year plan in 13 months. And now that office went from $1 million a year in fees, it does $1 million a month. And so it's funny because we were making a joke of it in terms of, how we were marinating on it. But the reality is, anyone is possible of doing anything. What we're doing isn't great. We're a good business that are trying to be better. We're trying to become a great business. Good to great, Jim Collins. You need 10 years of double-digit growth. We're at 4 years. We've still got a long way to go, and we make mistakes and we learn. But the reality is, this is why I love this industry, and that's why the energy and the passion comes through, is because you literally can change the course of your complete life in 6 to 12 months. Yeah. And it ain't about the watches and the cars and the this. It's what can you do for your family. I have an agent, Ivan, that only works, they don't need to, because they donate 100% of their commission to charity. Wow. And they've done that for the last 5 years. No one knows. Everyone's trying to work it out in our business. They're like, who is it? I'm not telling you. They'll never tell you. So whatever you've got to find in your life, you want to get out of a rut, you want to find a charity that you want to help your parents, whatever it is, this industry allows that. You just got to be there, and you got to be good enough, and you got to turn up.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I think it's about like climbing mountains. It's not about the money. It's the satisfaction you get from going, there's a mountain. I know we haven't climbed that yet, but we can. And then you enjoy the climb, and you get to the peak and go, that was awesome. And then you go, well, what's the next mountain? You'd be an amazing coach, by the way, which you are, but I'm just saying independently. No, doing, basically what I do. I think with that term, what that means to me, which is who do you need to become? If I put that in real estate agent terms, not executive or coach terms, if I spoke to it, like I speak to agents every day, and an agent was doing 35 sales a year, and he goes, Ivan, what do I need to do to get to 60? That question would be the perfect question for him, which is, young agent, you're doing 35. If you want to do 60, who do you think you need to become, or what needs to change for you to get to 60? I reckon that's probably how I
Yeah,
really
yeah.
connect that. But that's
The
awesome.
other one, the other one I normally ask,
Yeah.
and it's all, coaching is a relationship and a trust based relationship, right? I always ask, what do you reckon is the reason that's stopping you from performing at an elite level? There is a reason why, because I'm looking at you and I'm looking at 35 deals a year, and I feel bad for the clients out there that don't get to experience the magic of Ivan.
I love that.
So what do you reckon is holding you back? Because if you've got enough skill to do 35, you can do like 300 if you want.
Mm.
What is it? And it's usually the clarity of what their purpose in life is. It's usually an inhibitor, themselves, a partner, a belief system.
Yeah.
It's usually fear. Mate, I've always done 35. This is comfortable to me. But the reality is, it's just, mate, make that one decision, change the version of what you've got, upgrade yourself, and watch you fly.
Yeah. I'm always perplexed about that. Like, I think you've summarized it well. You look after a lot of people. I looked after a lot of people and still do. I'm always perplexed about, why does this person just do this and why does this person do that, when there's not that much difference between person A and person B. But I think
Not,
how they were brought up, a lot of it's in here, what
mate.
was built in, wired,
Yeah,
what's their
yeah.
relationship with money, what's their relationship with success, what's their relationship with, doing
Themselves.
with themselves. Yeah, it's really
Yeah.
interesting.
What version do they wake up in the morning with themselves?
Yeah.
Do they wake up and go, fuck, I'm back to the grindstone and,
Mm.
mate, this is just heavy and,
I
you
do
know,
have a theory, which I'm interested. I've got a theory that the most successful people, and you've really excelled, and so many of the top performing agents, I think a lot of them have excelled out of fear, because, mate,
absolutely.
insecurity, fear, traumas, weren't good at something, and then land in real estate and go, hang on. And then they go, I'm actually good at this. And they've become almost paranoid about losing because they're competitive or whatever's happened in their life. And that's the driving factor that just keeps them
Yeah,
just doing the massive hours and lots of calls.
yeah.
Um, Last one before you go. Let's talk about the real big riders. You've got 4 or 5 of them in your group, and I'll work with, 10 in Australia, or 10 of the best. Um, do you think there's only so many of them that can actually reach 3 million, 5 million, 10 million, and 15 million a year? Do you think there's only so many of them, or do you think that's available to many more?
Um, no, I think my genuine belief system is anyone can do it. You got to look at, there's going to be factors, Ivan, right? So let's look at the macro factors of themselves, the business, the brand, all that type of stuff. So does it facilitate, that level of performance? It's like kind of, look at LeBron and Luca.
Yeah.
I mean, why worst move ever by Luca's previous club. But why was he attracted to go there? It's because it's a marquee franchise, and they've got all the performers there. So first of all, it's probably those elements. But secondly, mate, is it total addressable market? Can you actually do it in your market? Does your market facilitate you to be able to do it? But the third one is absolutely.
Yeah.
Why can't you do it?
Yeah.
There's no reason. There's no primal reason. There is a system and a process to what we do.
Yeah.
Master the basic foundations, prospect, list, and sell, like master. And so, our theme, as I said earlier, was better is better. And I said to our agents, there are blind spots that you can't see. I can't see them on me, but I rely on people like you to say, hey, have you noticed? Have you considered?
Yeah.
So where are your blind spots? And then work on outsourcing them or improving them. Just design the game that you want to live. Design the game that you want to win.
Yeah.
Work out how you want to live, and then build it. But yeah, I do believe anyone can do it.
Yeah.
I mean, I got to sit at Edgecliff back in those days. I won't name any names, but I got to sit next to some incredible agents, and one of those agents now is no longer at McGrath, but doing big numbers.
Yeah.
And people used to go, tell me what that person says and does that makes them incredible. And I said, mate, nothing. Their dialogue's actually pretty rubbish, to be honest.
Yeah.
But they make the calls. They're obsessed with their market and product knowledge. When they see an opportunity, they don't let go, and they will outwork their competition.
Yeah. Yeah. I like to think that anyone could do it. I have doubts that everyone can do it.
No, not everyone. Not everyone.
I'm realistic about it. But the thing I love about you, mate, is you keep it really simple. And the thing that I notice about like the big names, mate, they keep it so simple. Like you said, like what do they say? What do they do? Hang on, mate, they're just outworking people. They give great service. They're building a database. They play the long game. They delegate. They build a good team around them. But I don't think everyone can do it. No, I disagree.
No, there is a select.
Yeah,
there is a select group that can, but if you're writing 500 to a mil, you're so close to that mil. That mil is not the mil is a mental barrier. It's a ceiling, right? Yeah. But then 2 mil is so much easier than 1 mil because you're in market momentum and energy and share and digital signboards and physical signboards. You're meeting more buyers, and it's so simple that it's scary. But we have a habit as humans to make the most basic of things the most complex.
Yes.
I see agents in our business as well that would rather design the perfect DL when literally it's a 3-second decision going from the letterbox to the bin.
Yes.
The front door's 4 meters away. Why not just knock on the door and say, hi, I don't want to interrupt you, but look, I just thought I'd let you know we've listed this, or whatever the dialogue is, right? So the select few, mate, do what others aren't prepared to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Mate, you're a legend. Thanks for your time. I'll see you at the training day event in Bondi in 5 hours to see you.
Yeah, me too, mate.
And I want to know when you're coming back to visit me in Austin. But, mate, well done on the great work. You've got a great team, great people too. I speak to a few of them. I train 1 or 2 of them. Well done on your success, mate, and you deserve it.
Thanks, brother. Love you, mate.
Have a great day in Adelaide. Likewise, mate. See you, legend.